Welcome back to the AI Sales Leader channel. Okay, so if your revenue team is uh, still measuring success by just the sheer number of emails sent or calls made, well, you might want to brace yourself.
Yeah.
Today's deep dive is going to challenge that core, really outdated assumption that more activity always equals more pipeline.
Mm-hmm. Frankly, that's the prospecting lie. And let's be blunt, it is killing results in 2025. It really is. It's an ideology that's, well, it's not just ineffective anymore. It's actively damaging the profession, you know? We're seeing a genuine crisis right now in high volume prospecting.
Right.
And what's really fascinating is that AI, it isn't hiding the problem. It's actually making the flaws completely impossible to ignore.
Okay, let's anchor this. Let's use the reality check, the numbers pulled straight from the sources we looked at. Starting with the buyer experience,
Yeah. The receiving end.
generic outbound reply rates have just completely tanked. We're talking below 1%.
Below one.
Even on these long sequences, like 8 steps or more. Less than 1% response rate. That is just massive failure built right into the motion itself.
And then you flip it and look internally, right, at the reps who are actually trying to execute this failing strategy.
Yeah, the people doing the work.
We found data showing that 65% of a rep's time is still being spent on non-selling activities.
Wow.
You know, the research, the logging stuff, juggling tasks. You've got highly paid people basically spending 2/3 of their day on admin grunt work, not actually creating pipeline.
And here's the final kicker. Maybe the real gut punch from the data.
Mm-hmm.
Nearly 85% of Gen AI deployments are failing to meet expectations. And why?
It seems counterintuitive, doesn't it?
It does, because organizations are taking these incredible, powerful tools and just layering them on top of processes that were already broken.
Exactly. You're basically asking the AI to run faster, but the completely wrong direction.
So our mission today, really, is to break down this cycle. We need to understand precisely why the volume game is over, how AI is forcing this reckoning,
Critically.
and critically, what a high-performing, precision-first, outbound organization actually needs to look like for the rest of this year and heading into next.
Okay, let's do it. So let's unpack this, starting with that failure data. Outreach and Gong confirmed what we just said. Reply rates dropped below 1% this year. The volume game is failing. But why? I mean, this method kind of worked 10 years ago, didn't it?
It did, to an extent. But what fundamentally changed, it's the buyer environment. The sheer velocity of information overload. The moment companies really scaled up their automation, their SDRs, their sales development reps, the buyer environment changed almost overnight.
Okay.
That modern buyer, the person you're trying to reach, is now getting flooded. We're talking upwards of 300 cold messages a week.
300 a week, that's just noise. It's pure noise. They are absolutely flooded. And crucially, they've gotten incredibly smart at filtering out templated stuff. They know noise when they see it.
Right. They can spot a sequence blast a mile off. Exactly. And that brings us to our core principle here. Relevance now absolutely, definitively beats reach. If you send 150 generic emails, you're not even reaching the buyer in a meaningful way. You're just filling up their trash folder.
Pretty much. You're contributing to their digital waste bin.
We saw this contrast played out so clearly in the source material. It was almost like a controlled experiment they highlighted. You had 2 reps, right? Rep 1 and Rep 2. Same territory, same product. Rep 1 stuck to the old volume dogma. What did their typical activity look like?
Rep 1 was the classic volume machine, yeah. 150 plus emails daily, basic templates, high dial counts. The works.
Busy work.
Totally busy work. And over 30 days, they were probably rewarded internally for their motion, right? The activity. But they only booked 4 meetings. 4. They followed the old rules perfectly.
Okay, so meanwhile, Rep 2 basically ditched that volume dogma. They used intelligent workflows instead. Can you walk us through what kind of tools or approaches they use for that precision?
Yeah, this is key. They integrated AI to do 2 main things. First, identify the right moment. They use tools that track intent signals.
Okay, so knowing when someone's actually looking.
Exactly. Knowing when a prospect is actively researching a solution like yours. And second, identifying the necessary context. Things like tech stack insights, knowing the specific software the company already uses. Then they use GPT, generative AI, to help craft really hyper-contextual outreach based on that timing and context. It wasn't generic. It was precision layered on timing.
Okay, context plus timing. And what was the outcome for Rep 2 taking this more targeted, less volume approach?
The result was pretty staggering, honestly. Rep 2 booked 17 meetings in those same 30 days.
17 versus 4.
Yeah, more than 4 times the result. And get this, on significantly fewer total sends.
Wow. So the key takeaway here for you listening right now is simple. If your organization is still measuring success by just raw activity counts, you are fundamentally measuring the wrong thing. You're measuring motion, not progress.
Precisely. And you will fall behind reps, like Rep 2, guaranteed.
Okay, this leads perfectly into the AI paradox you mentioned earlier. McKinsey data shows 80% of sales teams have deployed AI tools. That's huge adoption.
Massive.
But only 20% are actually seeing consistent pipeline gains from it. So if 8 out of 10 teams are using AI, why are 6 out of 10 basically failing to see tangible results? What's that gap about?
This is that brutal exposure we talked about earlier. AI doesn't magically fix a flawed motion, it just accelerates it. So if your underlying prospecting strategy is built on a weak foundation, generic messaging, poor targeting, wrong timing AI, just helps your team do the wrong things faster.
So you've essentially just scaled mediocrity or scaled the failure.
Scaled mediocrity is a perfect way to put it.
So the tool is a multiplier, not a miracle cure. If the input is poor strategy, the output is just scaled noise.
Exactly.
Okay, then what does it look like when AI is used correctly? When it actually transforms the strategy and drives genuine precision?
It looks like the successful use case we analyzed in the source. The reps there stopped relying on those standard, tired templates. Instead, they used live signals.
Like what kind of signals?
Things like job changes, specific firmographic data points, maybe funding news, intent spikes, real-time triggers. And then they leveraged AI to tailor the outreach to actual current business problems those signals suggested.
Give me an example.
So instead of a generic pitch like, hey, we sell X, they tailored the message around something specific they inferred. Like, we noticed you have new leadership, which often brings change risk, and your current fragmented tooling might be causing X inefficiency based on what we see.
So you're moving the conversation immediately from, here's my product, to, I see evidence suggesting you might have this specific problem, why, and here's the potential cost or impact.
Precisely. That's the shift. And that team, they saw an 11% reply rate from cold outreach. 11%.
11% versus less than 1. That's huge. It's night and day.
Yeah.
But here's the kicker. The time needed to prep a full tailored sequence for 3 accounts was under 10 minutes. Under 10 minutes for 3 highly personalized sequences. How?
Because the AI handled the heavy lifting, synthesizing the signals, drafting initial contextual points. The rep then refined it. The mechanism is about matching those persona-level problems.
Right.
The workflow pain for the practitioner, the inefficiency metric for the director, the strategic risk for the leader, matching those to your solution using tangible, evidence-based claims. AI becomes the engine connecting problems to outcomes at scale. It's not the pitch itself, it's the relevance engine.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's pivot then to the fix, because they have to kill the waste.
Yeah.
That 65% stat, 2/3 of a rep stay on research, logging, admin. I bet every listener just mentally groaned thinking about those Monday morning CRM updates or prepping lists. That is the massive time sink that needs to be addressed, right? For both the SDRs and the revenue leaders managing them.
Absolutely. And the root cause, we have to keep saying it, is the activity-first mentality. That has to be discarded immediately.
So it's a mindset shift first.
It has to be total. For the rep, look, your job isn't just to hit an email quota. Your real job is to build qualified pipeline.
Right. Outcome, not output. Exactly. You must use AI to kill that administrative grunt work, the repetitive research, the manual list building. That frees up your energy, your brain power for the human skills that actually matter now. Curiosity, insight generation, timing the conversation perfectly. Okay, that's the shift for the rep. What about the leaders? The manager's still clinging to those dashboards full of dials made and sequence steps completed.
Leaders have got to stop managing motion and start measuring outcomes. It's that simple, but hard to do. If your main KPI, your key performance indicator, is activity count, you are explicitly telling your team to be busy, not effective.
You get what you measure.
You always get what you measure. You should be measuring things like conversion per touch, or qualified meetings per 100 targeted accounts. You must reward and incentivize relevance and actual pipeline creation, not just the raw volume of stuff done.
And we saw how powerful this KPI transformation was in practice in one of the examples, right?
We did. It was striking. One team we studied literally replaced their core volume KPI with a conversion per 100 touches metric.
Okay, what happened?
Their team's raw activity dropped by 40% almost immediately. Why? Because they stopped doing pointless, low-yield tasks just to hit a number.
Makes sense. Less busy work.
But the results,
Their meetings book doubled.
activity down 40%, meetings doubled. Yeah, because they shifted focus. They stopped trying to build like a robot army cranking out tasks and started cultivating genuine business analysts and storytellers who use AI as leverage, as an amplifier. You just cannot improve real performance until you redefine what success actually looks like on the scorecard. That is, yeah, that's a necessary, probably painful evolution for a lot of ingrained sales cultures out there. So let me push you on this. If the old activity-first model is dead, what does a truly high-performing outbound organization look like now in 2025? Okay, I think we can define this on maybe two levels. Let's say good and great.
All right, break down good outbound for us first. What does that mean today?
Good outbound means your pipeline generators, your SDRs, are running primarily signal-driven outreach. They're actively using intent data, job changes, market triggers for genuine precision.
So timing and context are key.
Absolutely. AI is automating the grunt work, the research, the initial drafting. Leaders are measuring conversion per touch or pipeline generated per activity unit, not just raw activity.
And the result of good.
The result is fewer overall activities, maybe less noise, but the pipeline quality is significantly higher. More qualified leads, better conversations from the start.
Okay, that sounds like a huge improvement already. So what separates that good organization from a great one? What's the next level?
Great is purely problem-centric and evidence-driven throughout the entire process. Every layer of the GTM strategy, the go-to-market plan, is aligned around this.
How so?
SDRs aren't just executing sequences, they're actively diagnosing potential business problems based on signals and research. They tee up conversations around pain.
Fair.
Your account executives, the AEs, are armed with AI-driven insights that go way beyond basic firmographics. They understand the likely impact, the potential value story.
And the leaders. And the leaders. They inspect opportunities rigorously for hard evidence. Things like, is there a buyer-verified problem statement? Is the potential impact quantified? Are the next steps validated and committed by the buyer? They don't just trust the activity logs in the CRM. Okay, so if you're relying on that level of evidence over just sheer volume, that implies your pipeline might look fundamentally different, maybe even smaller up front.
It probably will, yeah. Initially, that great pipeline might look smaller on paper because it's heavily filtered for relevance and verified pain, but, and this is crucial, it is fundamentally healthier.
Healthier how?
Your win rates climb significantly. Your sales cycles shorten dramatically because you're working qualified deals from the start. And maybe most importantly for the business, your revenue forecast becomes trustworthy.
Because it's based on reality.
Exactly. It relies on genuine buyer signals and solid evidence, not just on the hope that cranking out more activity will magically result in closed deals down the line. So, yeah, activity-first orgs are noisy and often slow to close. Good orgs are precise. Great orgs are problem-centric, AI-enabled, and relentlessly evidence-driven.
Right. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room then. The question I'm sure every sales development rep listening is thinking about right now, is AI going to take the SDR job? Or is the role just evolving? Okay, let's be direct. Here's the hard truth. The old SDR role. The one whose primary value is based on just blasting sequences, making endless cold calls day after day, and logging activity.
The volume machine role.
That role. Yes, absolutely. It's on its way out. Why? Because AI can perform those repetitive, high-volume activities faster, cheaper, and frankly, with zero emotional burnout.
So the human value proposition has to shift completely.
Yeah.
It can't be about being a faster machine anymore.
It absolutely must shift. The best SDRs, the ones who will thrive, are rapidly evolving into what we're starting to call AI operators.
AI operators, tell me more about that. They're the ones combining those live signals we talked about, running smarter AI-assisted workflows, and critically, diagnosing the specific business problems that actually matter most to that specific buyer at that specific time.
So they're becoming more analytical.
Exactly.
They're curating insight, not just pushing volume. Think about it. Yesterday's SDR was largely a volume machine operator. Tomorrow's successful SDR is a business analyst and a storyteller, amplified significantly by AI. That sounds like a much more compelling, high-leverage career path, honestly.
It absolutely is. So the challenge we really need to pose to you, the listener, today is this. Are you currently clinging to the parts of your job? The manual research, the tedious logging, the generic email blast the parts that AI should and will replace?
Or are you actively leaning into developing the new skills that AI can't replicate? Things like genuine curiosity, critical judgment, synthesizing information into real insight. Because those who adapt, they won't just survive this transition. They'll be the ones leading the next era of sales.
That really is the playbook we've laid out today, isn't it? AI has to be designed into your workflows, not just bolted on. It needs to be measured strictly by outcomes, not activity, and it needs to be treated as foundational to your entire go-to-market strategy.
It's a fundamental shift.
Yeah.
It is. The shift has to be immediate. Move from activity first to precision first.
Yeah.
And I'll leave you with this final thought. The organizations that successfully solve this prospecting lie, the ones that redefine how pipeline is built by focusing relentlessly on precision and verifiable evidence over sheer volume, they are going to be the ones pulling away from the competition for good. A powerful challenge for every revenue leader and every sales professional listening today. Thank you for this really insightful deep dive into the prospecting lie.
My pleasure.
And if you found this helpful, be sure to subscribe to the AI Sales Leader channel. Because in our very next deep dive, we're going to be breaking down that AI-powered SDR role in much more detail. We'll cover the new skills required, the tech stack you need to enable them, and how you can successfully build that new career path for your team.
Yeah, the future of sales isn't really waiting for anyone, and neither should you be.
Well said. We'll see you next time on the AI Sales Leader channel.